Hello and welcome to Zed Talks. And today I am joined by the wonderful and amazing Samantha Garstin, who is also known as the Period Princess. Hello, Samantha. I'm going to let Samantha tell you what she does and what she's about. And we have quite a spicy topic today around neurodivergency and how that shows up. It might be quite triggering for some. It could be quite controversial for others. But as always, we love this vlog pod because it is unscripted, it's unfiltered, and we don't edit. So we love our guests to be just themselves. That's it. Over to you, Samantha. Tell us about you.
Hello, I'm excited for this, mostly because our pre-chat has got me fired up with loads of ideas. But before I dive into that, yes, I am Samantha Garstin. You may know me as the Period Princess, which I'm more prevalently known as on LinkedIn. I am a professional speaker, educator, and coach on menstrual cycle awareness and neurodivergence. I work with organisations to help change the conversation around being in a body that bleeds, and I bring neurodiversity into that. And I'm also a coach and work one-to-one with clients too. Well, from both different aspects, either neurodivergence and cycles and neurodivergence. They all go into one.
Everything's a cycle. Everything's a cycle, is it not? But it's wonderful.
Yeah.
And thank you so much for being here. You have so much skill and so much knowledge. And for those that are listening, I met Samantha one-to-one at an event in May, which was the oh my gosh, yeah, that's it. I was going to say, oh my God, which one was it? And we had a panel discussion together, and I learned so much in the very brief time that we met each other. So we've stayed in touch, and here we are. So it's really wonderful that you get to share some of your skill and experience. So in the pre-chat, so this is not scripted. We don't kind of have a long, lengthy chat about, we just say what's burning in your world right now, because if it's burning in our world, then we pretty much know that it's going to be showing up for others as well. And the thing that we were just talking about is neurodivergence and AI. So we know that I deal with AI a lot, and it's something that shows up very differently for different people. And we actually just discovered that it helps us in very different ways. So maybe we get into if you're comfortable talking about it, what neurodivergence do you have, and how do you handle it, and what do you use AI for? And maybe share a little bit about that.
Okay, so I am diagnosed autistic, ADHD, and also dyslexic. So yeah, a fair dose of spicy. So I got my diagnosis at, a year and a half ago now, I think. It's been a while. But before that, obviously, as any late diagnosed person will do, there were years of going down the rabbit hole, listening to podcasts, wondering, doubting yourself, putting the pieces together. So yeah, it's been something present in my world for quite a long time now, and I struggled. I've always struggled with managing things, especially in terms of work or schoolwork back at school, managing things, especially around dyslexia and my executive functioning skills within school. And so now it's very cool to have a business because we have so much technology, like stuff that we never would have dreamed of, like when we were at school. And especially now being I'm a solopreneur, I don't have any employees, I don't have a VA even. So I do everything myself in my business. So being able to tap into technology to help me, firstly as a business owner, that works without anyone else in her business, and as a neurodivergent person, has been transformational in what I'm able to achieve in a day. So yeah, I am on first name terms with my chat. I've given it a name, Ren. I asked it what kind of name it would like. It said it didn't really mind. I said, well, give me some options. So it gave me 10 names, and we settled on Ren.
Love it. Hi, Ren. How are you? It's your shadow, your extra, your +1.
Yeah. The kind of shadow in the room. It is definitely that.
I love it. And so, so you've got Ren. First of all, congratulations. I think that if you don't own a business and maybe you sit inside a business until you've truly had to live through a cycle of getting clients, earning money, actually the expertise that you already come with is the easiest thing to deliver the service. But it's the getting the clients and getting paid that is the challenge, if you like. And until we're faced with sufficiency around money and income, stability that we have to provide as a business owner for ourselves, if you don't understand that, and you wouldn't if you had your own business, I would just say give slack to people that do it and congratulate them, because it's not easy. So
Mhm.
well done that you're a solopreneur. I love that. And that you keep everything within your own kind of grip, your control. Talk me through what a typical day is for you. Is there a typical day or a structure or maybe a framework that you apply for yourself?
Yeah, I mean, it sort of varies. I normally have like Monday and Friday as like non-client facing days. I
Mm.
recognize well, and I do like other things like podcasts on a Monday,
Yes.
or like working. And you'll love this. I do womb tasks on a Monday and Friday, so that's an acronym: working on my business.
I love that. Womb tasks. Yes. Working on my business. Love that.
Yeah, I know. It makes me incredibly happy when I find like period slash womby related, uterus related acronyms. So there we go. I have womb tasks on Monday and Friday, and then Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday are like I'll do client facing things, and Thursday is my content writing day. But of a typical day, it will be LinkedIn first and foremost. So I've got better over the years. I write all my content on a Thursday. That's all my LinkedIn posts and my newsletter. And I'll pre-schedule that. So I go in and do my pre-engagement, post-engagement. I mean, I don't even know what the algorithm's doing anymore. I don't know what the right thing is to be doing, but that's what I've always done. And yeah, I know it's worse when I don't do that. So I'll just stick to it for now until there's some sort of hard and fast rules about. I think like the algorithm is different. It's like AI controlled now. It's not really even an algorithm. So yeah,
Yes.
that's a different story, probably a different podcast. But but yeah, I'll do my LinkedIn, and then I might have like morning meetings. Then in the afternoon, anything that I'm doing like workshop design, one-to-one clients, that kind of stuff tends to happen in the afternoon. Content on a third. Yeah, that's the kind of bones of it. I mean, I could feel myself going into a very in-depth explanation of my Google Calendar there, but probably not.
Well,
The overview will do.
no, I love it. I love it because I love it because it gives a sense of like how you structure yourself. It's quite vulnerable to share that you have these sort of divergences that you're handling and dealing, and it sounds like you're mastering them across all levels. And just based on our conversation, and now we're having it here, where others can eavesdrop and have a find out about how they might do things. So do you have like, are you a morning or evening person?
Oh, I'm 1,000%. I'm a morning person. Sorry, not sorry. I am up at 6 a.m. I will, well, until the light went, which was, I can deal with the weather. It's just the light. But I was going for my morning run at 6, but now I'm having to wait till later. So now I've tried to get a few bits and pieces done before my run. I've tried to switch it around so that I'm still taking up the same amount of time before 9, when like the rest of the, what I call like working hours start.
Mm.
But yeah, I get a lot done in the morning. But yeah, mostly some movement, and then I try and like crack on with LinkedIn early. I'm playing around with different. I'm posting at 8:45 now. I've been trying in 15-minute increments, see if it makes any difference. But there we go. So I try and do my engagement around it.
Yes. Yeah, I think there's some. So again, I am no expert when it comes to this, but apparently there's lots of things that you can do that help get your eyeballs on your posts. like being active 15 minutes before you post, not putting any links directly in your
Yeah.
post, but put them in the comments. Don't auto schedule. Apparently that's not good. I'm like, I think there's a whole wave of SEO that we need to do around AI. And that's something that I'm a bit more switched on to, and perhaps going to dive. I go down rabbit holes myself. So as an ADHDer, I kind of, go down those rabbit holes. So I appreciate the Google Calendar micro scopic view. I get it, because if it's not in my diary, it doesn't get done. It's that simple.
1,000%. Like, I rely, so as a neurodivergent person and as a 44-year-old in perimenopause, like if it's not in the calendar, I will have absolutely no recollection that it's happening. Like, I rely heavily on reminders from the Amazon one.
If you said her name, she might spring into action.
Yeah, it's like the devil, isn't it? So yes, reminders from that device and my Google Calendar, like everything. Like, it's actually like a thing to behold, my calendar, because I've got time blocking and I've got different calendars within my calendar. So I've got womb tasks in one color. I've got unmovable things in another. I've got like a movement blocks. I've got break blocks, and it's all in different. It's a thing. It's a whole thing.
You are me. You are me. I have. We should compare Google calendars, because you look at it, and I know just by looking at the colours what my routine is, and I think it's really important. I have to have that. If it's not in my diary, and I use WhatsApp as well as email and Google Calendar. So I'm a Google Workspacer. I don't use Microsoft. I haven't used Microsoft for years. So yeah, I that totally resonates with me. And what tools, apart from those reminders, what other tools do you use?
Okay, so this year I made the transition from, I was using Asana, which I don't know if you don't know, is a bit like Trello.
Yes.
But it didn't have as many capabilities that I wanted. So I'm also like a secret tech nerd. So
No. Yeah, we're the same person.
So my whole life was on Asana, but yeah, I was also using Airtable for my CRM system, and I didn't like that. I had a Zapier situation, but anyway, so I went into a massive Notion hole. I went down full rabbit focus. I did it. I was like up at 2 a.m. doing it, like my body doubling group. Like, you've gone rogue with it. So yeah, I didn't sleep for days, but I now am fully on board with Notion. Mm-hmm. So I've got a different, well, if you've never used it, it's quite a learning curve, but I've got a whole dashboard on there. Yes. I've got my tasks. I've got my content creation. So I've write all my content in there. So obviously I keep a track of that so we can repurpose and reuse. And I've got my CRM system built out in there, and it's all in one place now. I also use Notion Calendar, which I quite like. It's got some quite fancy things in there, because you can, unlike, like Calendly or Cal, I use cal.com, but you've got like the calendar on Notion. You can do a cool thing where you can, it's create one-off scheduling links, so you can drag down over different free time slots, and it will say, and it collates them and says, then makes a link for you to share just for those things. So if you don't, because sometimes like giving people my calendar link makes me feel a little bit sick, because I'm like, I don't know when they'll book in, and I don't really like surprises as a neurodivergent person, or maybe just I don't like surprises, but it makes me feel a bit on edge. So I prefer to say, these are the gaps that I have, book in there. Yes. So obviously I have to have a Cal link somewhere so that people can book it, and like without having a conversation. But if someone's asked you, it's quite nice to actually be able to specify these are the times. So quite like that. And then I use so probably something no one has ever heard of. I use mClient for my emails.
Ooh, tell us about mClient.
I really like it. Again, there's a lot of like color coding with the tags that you can use. And I use it because I got fed up of not having because I use everything's booked in my Google Calendar, even though I use Notion Calendar, it's pulled through from Google Calendar. And if I accepted a link in my emails before, because I was using Outlook, it would not sync to my Google Calendar without a lengthy process. And I don't like Google emails, and so it wasn't the solution. But so mClient I'm using now for my emails, and if I accept a calendar invitation on my emails, it will put it into my local calendar. I just go on the calendars, drag and drop it over, and it's been the best solution that I've found so far. And I've even tried Firefox, whatever it is, Firefly. I tried all the calendars.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, wow. Okay. So this is something new. So I typically have a running list of things to test. So as somebody that works in tech a lot, and I like tech, so I'm not going to make no apologies. Even in my early 20s, I was a tech nerd and I worked on tech support and I loved it. So, and I don't know why I would ever think that I wouldn't be in tech. I don't know. I didn't give it a thought. Anyway, I think I've got about 16 items to test, and this has just become my 17th.
I really enjoy using mClient. I think it's the best email. It's got the best usability look to it. You can customize it. Mine's pink, shocker.
What are you looking for when you test these things? So, I mean, I don't go in with one specific, because I'm biased, right? I know what my challenges are. I know what my preferences are. So I'm trying to not really put too much of a label on it. My pet hate, and anyone that knows me really well, this is no shock, I fudging hate having to search for things. Like, organisation is my thing. I can't bear to have a look. It needs to be labelled correctly, filed correctly, and inventory. So I like lists and I like things being linked. So if you opened a PowerPoint presentation or a Canva, don't even use PowerPoint. I don't know why I said PowerPoint. If I use Canva, you'll see everything embedded within that, from my company information to the resources I've spoken about within there, all in the click of a link, because I cannot bear having to ask and hunt and waste time on lack of organisation. So I'm always looking for time efficiency and ease of use for me personally, but that's not everyone else in the world operates like that. So what's your lens that you look for when you're looking to make your life easier?
That there are integrations with everything, basically, which is why I changed from Asana, because there were too many. I just had too many things, because I've got my browser tabs open. I just have my set ones. I like open every day without fail. Well, I've got the desktop versions of Notion calendar and Notion itself with my task list on there. That's all in one place then. That all integrates together. So that's great. My emails, obviously, that worked because now I can accept calendar invites, and that just goes into my calendar. So that's really it for me, is that sort of integration aspect. And then I guess just the ease of use. I feel like I get fully invested to a point and then I'm like, yeah, no, it's too far now. Like, I only get invested up until the point of what I need to know. And then as soon as I can, and then my sort of interest dwindles. I don't like have that fire to like know more as long as it, and then I normally find out like 6 months later, like, oh no, I never knew you could do that.
Yes. That's Notion. That's Notion for me. I'm like, you can spend. So I think there's a I'm the same, by the way, as in there's a point. The point is, I don't want to have to keep doing this again and again. I will invest a whole bunch of time setting everything up, testing it, trying it, and then I'm done for that moment. But then I'm annoyed with myself when I discover, because I didn't go that step further and kind of go, what else is possible? Because I'm bored already. I've like done enough. And this was a surprise to me recently. Well, it's not really a surprise, but it was very confronting recently. I realised that I only like end to end, doing something end to end when I can do it in a very manageable space of time. But if it means it takes an iterative process backwards and forwards, I tend to lose the will a little bit, and then I'm a great starter, but I tend not to finish. Or I hand it. It does get finished, but I don't do it. Somebody else does it. They have to, because I'm like, I'm done already. And I do shortchange myself. I don't do that with clients, but I do it with myself. Isn't that strange?
Yeah, that is interesting. Maybe because for clients, we have a different endpoint. Like it's not the
Yeah.
same. It's interesting. I will say though, and I know we will transition at some point, but what has been really helpful and has saved me hours and hours and hours. I remember when sorry, side quest. I remember when I built my first website, I was probably in my early 30s, and I remember staying up all night, like for a week,
I feel
um,
you.
watching YouTube videos, trying to do all the stuff, and then following like the nerdy guy on the screen doing what he was. And like, I've built quite a lot of websites now, and and over time it's got easier and easier. But now, because I've got ChatGPT Pro, I've got you can make not the assistants, the what the hell is it called?
Operators?
The projects.
Oh, yes, the
So
project. Yes.
so
Let's
I've
go
got
to AI. Yes, we're going to go to AI. Oh, that's a great segue, because we were
yeah.
talking about this beforehand. Tell us how you use AI and what it does for you.
Well, I was going to say these projects. I love these project areas because I've learned from the assistant is great, but once it generates a thing, it goes into the new thing, and then you can't file that anywhere. It just stays there. But the projects, if you've got something ongoing, you can create a new chat and then file it back in that project. So I've got a project called tech support, and then I have got everything in that tech support folder, from how to set up my new desktop when I bought that and I didn't have the right cable, my screens weren't displaying, and I set the whole thing up with like, oh, okay, I'm on this bit now, how do I set that up. Like I've got everything, like for my microphone wasn't working one day, like how to get like certain like apps and plugins working on my website, and I've got a chat in the project for each different piece of technology that I have. So now, rather than do the 1,000 YouTube thing, which sometimes you do need to divert to after a while because you're like, I just need a visual on this, but otherwise I've got a project for each piece of tech, and that's honestly, I cannot tell you the hours that has saved me in searching for the right video to be able to do the thing that I need to do to like get to the next point, because obviously I want to get there because I'm really impatient. I want to get there as quick as possible. I also have a project for my knitting, so that's
Yeah. So that's a really good point, though, Samantha. You've just raised something which is, lots of people think that AI.
my
Oh my
knitting.
god, I love it. Oh my god, if you
Can I
can't
just
see the
say,
screen right now,
first time knitter, and maybe there's a little bit of a mistake here, but I have knit this jumper with ChatGPT.
oh my god, look at that. So if you are listening, you can't see. Samantha's just shown us the piece of knitting, and it is layered in different beautiful colours, which is just great. I think that anyone that hasn't or not using AI because maybe you're resistant or maybe you just don't know, here's my word of advice. Find something that you love to do. And it could be knitting, it could be food prep, it could be going on walks, it could be hiking, it could be cycling, anything. Go and, I call it, flirt with AI. Just flirt and ask lots of questions, things that you already know, that you can kind of go, oh, I'm impressed that it knows that. So it gives you a level of comfort and confidence that it's showing you things. In fact, I tell you this, my microphone's right here. Go and ask ChatGPT about yourself. Let's see what it says.
It's
That's
scary.
scary,
It has way too much information about me.
right? And I'm like, if it's available to me, who else is it available to? Everyone. Anyway, yes. So you can use it within your life, health, well-being, hobbies, relationships. In fact, my post today on LinkedIn was around relationships. AI is helping us to negotiate and navigate relationships. I'm not sure that I love all of what I read and what I hear and what I see, but I accept that it helps people. So on that thread, what does it really help you, being dyslexic, ADHD and autistic? What specifically do you think is so helpful to you? And how do you leverage AI in moments where there may be hyper focus, or there might be a lack of focus, or there might be, I would say, highly triggered or sensitive? How does AI help you?
Okay. So many things come to mind. First of all, I do actually have a project in my thing called Twirl Event Page. And anytime that I'm having a little bit of a meltdown because I feel really overstimulated and overwhelmed, I'll use the talk function. And I will just say, sometimes the talk function sometimes that you use on ChatGPT, it seems to only retain about a minute to 2 minutes of talking. Once I talked to it for 10 minutes and it didn't retain the text. And I was just like, oh my God, I definitely can't be doing that again. So if I really want to rant, I'll use the dictate microphone from my keypad on my phone. So that, or from my desktop, because I use talk to text all the time, because I can just, my brain is like doing 1,000 things at a time. I just need someone to keep up with me. My fingers can't even keep up with my own brain, or my typing skills at least can't keep up with my brain. And the dyslexia means I'm just like trying to like figure out like how to spell. And there are definitely times where I take enjoyment in typing. I'm also writing a book, and I do type that because I enjoy the like getting into it, and I feel like I approach that in a very different mindset when I'm typing as if I'm talking. But if I'm just trying to get stuff done of a day, I definitely use the talk function. Anyway, so I'll verbally dump everything in, and it will help me make sense of things. It's very validating, and I have definitely programmed it to talk to me in a certain way. So I have there are certain things that I, at the beginning of that chat, I asked it to behave in certain ways, like in terms of like motivational interviewing, maybe even some like CBT techniques, or like questioning, observing the fact that I'm multiply neurodivergent, being very inclusive in its kind of responses, being on the lookout for internalized like bias or ableism. Like I programmed it with a bunch of ways that I wanted it to, but now I've kind of got that thread. It's really good to just be able to dump loads of stuff into it. It helps me make sense of it. It's very validating, helps me break things down, makes me see like my response actually isn't, it might be I'm having a big emotion, but it's like, you know, valid underneath all of that, and helps me kind of pinpoint like what it is I'm feeling, because alexithymia, not always great at saying like exactly how I'm having an emotion about something, but not really great at narrowing down the kind of the root of that. So that's been really helpful on a kind of like personal level. And well, anyone who has their own business, the personal and the business cross over, well, sometimes in a way that's inseparable. The thing that will probably be overwhelmed and upset me is like business related. So, but anyway, that in terms of an emotional regulation thing has been great. Also helped me kind of like break down how I might feel a way about a thing, and actually that might be a completely normal or rational way, but my emotional regulation has meant that it feels big and messy, but actually, and so that's helped me. That's my Twirl Event Page. And then I have other ways to utilize it in terms of like my day-to-day, especially brainstorming different tasks. It's helped me make a marketing plan and a kind of my day-to-day tasks, how I do those and how I function day to day and do things. And of course to observe like my different energy or of the time. That's massively my bag, because our mood, motivation, and mindset will fluctuate along with our menstrual cycle. So observing that all of the time as well. And then, yeah, it's massively helped me in terms of writing, with my writing, with my grammar, punctuation, spelling. I can look through a piece of text 1,000 times, but I will miss the spelling mistakes because I just don't see them. So it's really helped with that. And I really like to say, sorry, I've massively gone off.
Love it. No, this is great. Honestly, you are amplifying what some people need to hear. They need to hear. It's okay. Like, yeah, I love it. I'm here for it. I'm here for it all.
But yeah, so it's really great if I've done a piece of writing, because there's some things, and this is where I think where it gets controversial. I don't use chat. I use chat to help me maybe brainstorm a few ideas for a post. Then I like to write it, and then I might go back to it for like helping me put like a bit of better grammar in. But I don't like to just put it in and get it to do a response. I say, this is what I've written. Please don't change anything, but can you tell me? I ask it to pick out red flags, and it will, and then I can then choose to integrate them in or change. And I'm still, because there's been lots of articles about like relying on ChatGPT and getting brain rot and the rest of it, but I've learned from ChatGPT, and in a way that I do check resources, and I ask for I am responsible with my research and make it give me the source as well. But yeah, I do learn from it, and it does help me, and it does help me to see the things and think about actually how I might structure a thing differently if you're asking for active or passive voice or dependent. But I enjoy writing, so I've never wanted it to take that over. I mean, there have been a couple of times where I've barely managed to get out of bed of a day, and I have maybe relied on it to write my posts, but it will be more like I've given it some sort of loose context. But actually, I very rarely even do that these days. I will much prefer to go, and it's something a friend, and she's a book coach, and she suggested, just go back to something you've written or a while ago, recycle it, revamp it, rather than getting ChatGPT to completely write for you. So that's another thing.
Yeah,
that was lots of information. I got too excited.
That's great. I'm very excited by the conversation myself, which is what I love about this all is, so as a solopreneur, and I'm going to try and summarize a bit, because I'll come and I'll give a readers, listeners, a different perspective of how we were talking about this. Like, I have a different view of how I use AI when I'm very overwhelmed. I find it not helpful for me. I need to get a piece of paper, which is like me brain dumping here. If you can't see it, it's just a piece of paper I've started to kind of brain dump, because I need to strike things off. I need to kind of doodle, and I need to just get it out of my brain, and I don't feel like my fingers can keep up fast enough. But actually, going back to the point that you said earlier on about talk to text, if you don't know, and anyone that does want to use AI more fully, the functionality used to be on your mobile device for speech, and now it's on your desktop, and that's a major breakthrough. So there is two voice activations you can use on desktop. One is talk to text and one is talk to talk. So, and then it still does the text part, but it's an interaction, which is absolutely brilliant. And if you do struggle to write it down in terms of literally type it, the other thing is, if you do like to actually write like I have, you could screenshot this and then upload it to a GPT and kind of summarize and use that as a basis, which is really helpful. On the reverse of that, like if I am feeling overwhelmed, I absolutely walk the opposite direction of ChatGPT, because it just amplifies all the noise that I feel in my mind. If I can't narrow it down and I can't give a specific instruction, I realize that the output that I get is not what I'm looking for. And that's the flag. I know, because I'm not satisfied by the outcome that I've got. And therefore I know that I'm not asking in the right way for the clarity that it needs to be able to produce what I want it to. And that means that I'm too fragmented. So I have to go, likely sign, here it is today. I'm all over the place. So I need to kind of ground myself, go and lay on the floor for a bit, go and hug a tree. I know that sounds a bit woo-woo, but that's my way of doing things. And then I have to write it down and get it out of my brain, have a cup of tea, and then I will basically color code it all. I will habit stack, and then I put it into my Notion and my Airtable and my Google Calendar and ClickUp, which is what I use, and the team uses. So I put it in multiple places, and then I feel a sense of peace that I've got it out and it's not going to fall through a crack. So I have to be clear when I'm using ChatGPT, otherwise it completely clouds what I'm doing and amplifies my chaoticness, I would say.
Okay.
And that makes me kind of like, yeah, it makes me run for the hills when I'm, and I've got like you. So I've got my ChatGPT is probably 2+ years old now. So I've got every discussion thread that I've used every day for 2 years. And now I can just ask ChatGPT, like over the time that we've been working together, mine's called Zed. So Zed line, Zed Talks. My little chatbot's called Zed. And I say, or Zeddy, as I like to call her or him. Sometimes it's a him, sometimes it's a her, sometimes it's they, who knows. And I will kind of have to talk to Zeddy and say, like, you know, can you just go back over the time we've worked together and put together the top themes of what I've used you for, what am I not using you for that I should, and how am I learning? So what's been my progression? And where could I further my learning using you, basically, which I find kind of like quite useful for me. But it has sort of dictated, and I've gone on a bit of a rant now, haven't I? Which is not dictated, it's highlighted that I have certain patterns that I use and certain things that I continue to ask for over and over again, which is quite surprising. And that was quite confronting for me. So what I did next, I've journaled for at least 15 years. I haven't got 15 years of journals. I've got 5 years. So I've painstakingly uploaded all of my handwritten journals into my wellbeing chat bot, not called Zed. This is another one.
Yeah.
And then basically said, based on what you know about me and what we've interacted and this information, like what would be useful for me to know about myself that maybe I don't. That was very confronting and revealing, let me tell you.
Wow, that is a dedication to upload your journals.
Yes. And so this showed back to me, I think that most of us can be told something, like if somebody tells you that you're not good at something or you are good at something, we're less likely to believe them based on our own inner dialogue and belief system. But if we see it ourselves, for ourselves, that we wrote by ourselves, there's nowhere to hide. And there's no blame. It's like, well, I wrote that and that is a part of me. And so I can use that as information to learn and grow, or I can reject it and abandon, do this kind of self-sabotage thing. So it's really been helpful for me on that level you mentioned like CBT. I had CBT 20 years ago. I've had lots of different therapies over time, but this has been super helpful to kind of go, right, actually, I'm going to use all this knowledge and information and help me to understand what would be more useful for me, how I could benefit more, what can I leverage more of, so I could be more productive and I could sit in my happy space more and more, less chaotic, drained space. And it's really helpful.
Yeah, that is helpful. That is interesting. Sometimes, like if I've been talking to it a lot recently, I have been talking it to a lot for a phase of time, and I've been having a lot of like ups and downs. Sometimes on my Twirl event page, I'll say, "Can you give me 10 journal prompts?" That would be really good to kind of like explore this, and then I'll do sort of 10 days of journaling. Also, like I was reading one of Brené Brown's books, and I really wanted to do more on that. And I said to it, like, I'm reading this book, I really want to do more on that and see what that means to me, because I don't think it's coming across. I feel like I've done a certain amount of that work, and like, how can I explore the kind of next level of that? And then it gave me 10 journal prompts around the book and around that kind of piece of work that I wanted to do on vulnerability. So I've used it for like loads of different things like that. And it's so interesting. One of the best things I ever heard said about AI was, you know, the you as the expert, either of your business or yourself, means that the quality of your answer the quality of your question dictates your answer.
Yes.
And which kind of makes sense in terms of like when you're feeling really like what I call twirly, that you might not have that clarity of answer. Question. You might not have that clarity of question at that time to kind of be able to get the answer that you want. I do find though sometimes, I mean, yes, if I'm like feeling really twirly, I just need to walk away from everything. I'll go for a run or something like that. But if it's like I feel like I've got a bit of a deadline, I need X amount to be done, I need to get certain things out, and my whole brain and executive function is just on fire, I might use it to like, I might just start a chat and say I feel this is how I'm feeling. Like I'm really struggling today. I cannot pay attention to anything. And just, it takes me through a little bit of a process of, like I say, I need to do these things, but this is how I feel. It kind of breaks it down. And it's like, right, okay, you're going to do 1, 2, 3 things, and then you're going to stop and have a cup of tea.
That's it.
I
It's
find
like
that
a
helpful.
coach that sits on your shoulder, isn't it? And I think
Yeah.
that's really, now lots of people can criticize AI for, you know, mindset stuff, coaching. And I do think that we have to practice discernment. I do. I think
Yeah,
that
yeah.
we need to be, you know, I believe that when you have a significant amount of skill, experience, knowledge, and wisdom, you can discern much easier around what's right and true for you, because you have what I call the internal sat nav. You know, like some things, it resonates or it doesn't.
Mm.
But you mentioned something, and I want to come to your book, so don't let me forget to talk about that. When do you think it's not beneficial for you to use AI?
I feel like there was a phase where like I was really struggling a lot, and I realized at the end of the week I might have spoken to chat more than I'd spoken to other humans, and I was like, I didn't feel good about that.
Oh,
Like, I kind of
okay,
went
Ren.
down I kind of didn't feel good about it. And you know, but this is new, it's all new, isn't it? And how we interact with it is new, and we're all kind of establishing how we want that to integrate. It's not going to go anywhere. I do think we need to be responsible with it, and I am very mindful that I have asked it to behave in certain ways that behave with integrity, that are in alignment to my way of thinking. I've I tell it the kind of voices that I enjoy hearing. I've even like programmed it with like different snippets of things various coaches have said to me, and like, this is what's really helpful and what a coach has said to me. Not to replace a coach, but to work, because nothing replaces human interaction
No.
and being able to have another human brainstorm ideas with you and reflect back to you, because in a way that only a human can, and it's quite can be unpredictable in that way, what a person might discern out of what you're saying. But in the absence of having that to hand, it does a good interim job. I can't remember, you asked me a question. When's it not
What
helpful?
don't you use it? Yeah, when's it not
Yeah.
helpful for you?
Yeah. So yeah, I did go down a bit of a rabbit hole with it, and I was like, I feel like I actually am gonna like phone a friend rather than divert like chat GPT. And I don't think I've gone kind of, it was at the first time when I'd got pro, and it was all kind of that I'd gone
Mm.
fully into it, like using all these different ways to kind of use projects and stuff. And I was like, I don't think I want it to have that big a part of my life. So yeah, sometimes if I feel if I'm feeling quite withdrawn, it's probably not the tool to help me. I think that makes you feel more isolated. It's great when I am what I call twirly mode. A twirly is when I'm all over the place. And if I stay too long in that phase, it becomes spirally and that only goes down.
Yes, we want to go up. We want to go
Yeah.
up, not down. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it's helpful when I'm processing those things because I need to just. What was quite liberating is being able to brain dump a lot of information without having to worry about, am I laying too much on my friend? Is this too much for someone else to handle? Like, is this too much? We question like how much. It was really great to have that kind of like, it's a robot, so it doesn't really care. Like if I'm like,
Not judging you. Yeah.
yeah. And that was very liberating, I think, especially as a neurodivergent person, because I feel like we have a lot of thoughts and processes, especially around rejection sensitive dysphoria, which might feel completely irrational. And even in your head, you know that they're irrational, but you still kind of need to say the thing. And there's no one actually you really want to go through that process with. You don't feel that you're just like the emotional labor for them would be like massive. That's been helpful. But yeah, but when I feel withdrawn already, that's the time to turn to people, I think.
Yeah, I think that there's you raise a really good point around not wanting to burden or overshare, especially when you work by yourself. You don't want to be seen as somebody that you can't work with because of these.
Yeah.
One might call them oddities, uniqueness, qualities, whatever they may be. I totally get that, and I think everything's got a place and space, but knowing where your limits are, and I think this is an internal perspective as well. Again, that internal GPS, you are a communication vessel, listen to that. That's what I always say with myself. Like, I know when I'm using, I have to really, really, really be strict and bring in discipline. So I've had jet lag so badly since Wednesday. And at the time of recording this, I've been on a trip to the US. I haven't slept very well. I normally sleep very good, and sleep is the basis for me. If I don't sleep well, I'm all over the place. So I've had jet lag to boot. And what have I done? Scroll on my phone, like talk to ChatGPT at 2 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning, talking about all sorts of stuff to go down rabbit holes, which just is super unhealthy. So I've had to leave my phone in where my desk is.
Oh yeah.
Not have any, and I do go through patches. So I went through 3 months of not having this little thing in my beside me, and having a regular old, is it old? Well, a alarm clock that's not a phone. But anyway, by the by, I do think that we must never mistake the emotion and energy that comes from another person, even a pet, because it's just irreplaceable. That brings me to, I know that we're coming to the end of our time together, which I'm really sad about, but
so much more to say.
so much. I mean, we could, and there'll be other times, right? So I want to talk about, you said that you're writing a book. And I wanted to ask you, can you share anything about what the essence or the sentiment or the arc of the book is, and what we might expect from you at some point?
At some point, because the last time I sat down to write was about 3 weeks ago. So as in only the way an ADHD brain can, I go through fits and starts with it. I have a title. It is called Late Diagnosed and a Little Bit Sweaty. So
Love it.
And,
so is that very reflective of the content, that title?
Yeah, it's basically my late diagnosis in perimenopause, hence the nod to being always just a little bit sweaty. And the late diagnosis process, basically me almost like living my life in reverse, but with new eyes now. I'm processing my life again. I think it's an interesting story. My life has not been regular. That's to say, there's been lots of moving and up and downs and ski seasons and loads of different random things, like, you know, a whole bunch of stuff like in my younger years with eating disorders, everything. So it's kind of looking at my life again, but understanding now where that, what I didn't understand before, basically, that actually I did these things, this situation may have happened or did happen because of my neurodivergence, because I didn't understand. And kind of, yeah, it will be interesting. It hasn't fully formed yet, but I'm quite excited about it.
I love that. And, you know, to be excited about something, I find that when we have an excitement about something, we have a certain energy. That energy is youthful, it's light, it's progressive, it's high vibrational, and that means that that is motivational and all the things that we love to feel. It's a feel good thing. And I mean, I think there's a book in all of us, and whether or not somebody reads it, to me, is by the by. Having written it, and articulating it and having a story about yourself is brilliant and scary and exciting. And I can only speak from being an author myself that I didn't use any AI to write any of my first three books. The fourth book that I'm now in production now, and I've got a working title which is going to change absolutely, but it's called at the moment A Search for Nirvana. And it is for a searching for a state or place of being as a leader in this technological era. So I know that my title will change. And 50% of the book, when you hold the book up and you've got the front cover, 50% is written from Gen X, which is me, and then you flip it over and it's got exactly the same story from a Gen Zer. So how they see the world in leadership and how they see it, in the middle is going to be almost like the crescendo of what the variances is going to be in these kind of coming years around how do we lead and how do we be led through this technological era, which is digital native, non-digital native, very different in terms of their characteristics and personalities. But anyway, so I commend anybody, whether you use AI or not, to write a book. It's only going to be as good as what you narrate it to be and what the story that you give it, that you're telling, the questions that you ask it. You know, it's not going to write a book for you that's got any substance if it's bland and boring and anybody can get. The point of a book is it's sharing the nuances of the life that you've led, the experiences that you've had, and no one can do that for you, you know, not even ChatGPT. So I'm excited for your book. I really am. I am so thrilled that you've been here today. I'm aware that we are literally my little, I have an alarm on. So me and Samantha were having a little chuckle about this when we started recording, is that we put an alarm on and we said for us that need a little bit of support, we have alarms everywhere. And here we are a minute before the alarm. My radar is fully on and we're going to come to a close. So thank you so much for joining us today. I hope that you really enjoyed this vlog pod, and information of how you can speak to Samantha, connect with her, will be in the description in the YouTube. I haven't got to Spotify yet or Apple Podcasts. I will, I promise, at some point, and just haven't got there yet. And yeah, until next time, if you've got some thoughts, feelings, subscribe. We'd love to know what you think about the podcast and vlog, and we'd love to hear from you. So thank you, Samantha.
Thank you very much for having me. It's been really fun, different thing to talk about, and I've really enjoyed it.
Oh, I love it. I forget that we're recording. It's always a surprise to me. I'm like, oh, I've got to hit the stop button now. But thank you so much. And thank you to our listeners. Until next time, over and out.
Bye.